Running a modern school, especially on the lean operating budgets typical of Christian and private academies, requires a constant balancing act. Every minute of the day is scrutinized, and the pressure to deliver high standardized test scores has never been heavier. When administrators sit down to audit a master schedule, they immediately run into a supply problem. Instructional minutes are scarce. So when looking for places to trim, the daily recess block appears expendable. The math seems straightforward. If you remove 15 to 30 minutes of playground time and reallocate it to the classroom, you get more continuous seat time. This assumes that more seat time translates directly to more learning. Administrators making these cuts act with the best intentions. They are looking at the data, looking at the budget, and making what appears to be a responsible management decision to optimize their limited resources. But the math failed to translate to the classroom. Schools that cut or eliminated recess entirely saw academic scores remain flat despite the added instructional time. What principals actually reported was a surge in behavior referrals. Teachers noted a sharp decline in sustained attention, particularly during long afternoon blocks. The trade resulted in a net loss of effective teaching time. Teachers were forced to spend those newly gained instructional minutes redirecting distracted students and managing discipline issues. The human brain operates with mechanical constraints. Pushing continuous academic pressure without a period to cool down is like running a high-performance engine at redline. It doesn't get you further down the road, it just overheats the system until it begins to fail. By adding unbroken instructional time to the schedule, schools inadvertently lowered the quality and efficiency of the entire day. We have clear data on this breakdown. This bar chart from a 2009 Pediatrics study of 11,000 third graders provides a definitive baseline. Even controlling for outside variables, having one recess period over 15 minutes significantly improves classroom behavior. To understand why a short break drives such a broad behavioral shift, we have to look at the cognitive research of Anthony Pellegrini, who studied the mechanics of how children actually process information. This line graph illustrates Pellegrini's concept. Human attention predictably declines after 60 to 90 minutes of continuous instruction, but introduce a short break and you see a sharp vertical spike, a cognitive reset. Pushing past that threshold enters a zone of diminishing returns. Dr. John Rady at the Harvard Medical School identified the exact physiological mechanism that makes this reset possible. This brain schematic shows what happens when a student moves around. Physical movement actively increases blood flow and generates brain-derived neurotrophic factor, a specific protein that primes the neural pathways for memory formation. Think of a student's working memory as a sponge. After 90 minutes of absorbing complex instruction, that sponge is fully saturated. You can pour as much new information over it as you want, but it will simply run off the sides. A structured movement break provides the physical mechanism to wring out the sponge. It clears the cognitive saturation so the brain is prepared to absorb the next academic block. Recess functions as a mandatory biological reset button required to keep the system functioning. Viewing it as a reward for finishing work ignores the physiological necessity of the break. Even with the biological evidence, an administrator auditing a master schedule will naturally hesitate. Reallocating classroom minutes to physical activity feels like a direct risk to academic standards. Fortunately, the CDC's own extensive research synthesis addresses this directly. The evidence confirms that time reallocated away from academics for physical activity does not come at the cost of academic performance or test scores. Adjusting your master schedule to accommodate these breaks is a data-backed optimization that preserves academic integrity. This strategy focuses on strategically repositioning your existing non-instructional minutes rather than adding a new 45-minute block of free play. Looking at this timeline comparison, the traditional schedule on the left forces a long, unbroken instructional block that ignores human attention limits. The blueprint on the right uses the exact same total time, but segments it to mirror the way the brain works. For K through 5, you split the traditional 30-minute midday break into two 15-minute segments. You place one mid-morning and one mid-afternoon, precisely where the attention decay curve bottoms out. Middle schools often lack a formal recess entirely. Here, the blueprint requires a 10-minute reset, placed specifically between the two longest back-to-back academic blocks to prevent the afternoon collapse. For the administration, the benefit is immediate. This repositioning recovers the lost attention of your student body without requiring new instructional minutes or additional staff. By aligning the master schedule with cognitive science, schools maximize the value of their existing instructional day. They are finally operating in sync with student biology.